All right, this presentation is going to introduce us some of the biomechanical and physiological principles that govern muscle function and force production. By understanding these training principles, we can apply them to design programs that optimize performance gains. And in this presentation, we are specifically focusing on strength, hypertrophy, and power. Disclaimer. This presentation integrates insights from multiple sources, including scientific principle of strength training and science and practice of strength training. All rights to the original work belongs to the respective author and publishers. Here's a table of content that can evolve over time. All right, let's clear up some of the key terms first. Concentric and eccentric are two of the main aspects of the lift. We have the contracting centric and we have the lowering, the eccentric aspect of the lift. When we think of someone doing a squat, when they are descending with their lowering their body down, that is eccentric. And when we are squatting upwards, that concentric phase of the exercise. Now, when we talk about rep and set, a rep is short for repetition. And repetition is one complete movement of an exercise, while a set is a group of consecutive repetition performed without rest. And when we talk about load, that is the amount of external resistance applied during an exercise. Now, let's talk about some of the performance key terms. We have the endurance, the ability of muscle to sustain repeated contraction over time without fatiguing. And hypertrophy is the growth of muscle tissue, basically just making our muscle bigger. And we have the strength, which is the maximum force a muscle or a group of muscle can produce. When we talk about power, we can also think of that as explosiveness. It is the ability to produce force quickly. The flexibility is the passive range of motion, the available range of motion at a joint or series of joints, while mobility is the functional, the active range of motion at a joint or series of joints. Mobility can be example like when we hang from a bar and when we like lift our leg up, that is mobility. And when we talk about flexibility, that can be people doing a split, people doing a super deep stretch when we're using like external force to do the flexibility, while mobility is more of using the internal force within our body. Specificity is the foundation for every training program. Here's a great quote from Dr. Mike Isertel. All body systems adapt in the direction of the training stimulus, often countering one another's adaptations. This quote has two meanings, or two main messages. The first part basically just says that if you want to really get good at something, you need to train in that specific direction. And the second part is when you specifically train in that direction, the performance on the opposite end might decrease. Let's say when we are training for a marathon, our sprinting ability is going to decrease. One of the reasons why some of our ability is going to decline is due to muscle fiber type. And when we talk about muscle fibers, there are two main ones. We have the slow twitch and we have the fast twitch. And as you can see right here, the long distance runner, they often have more of those slow twitch, the red muscle fiber, while the fast twitch, the sprinters, they have a lot more of the white muscle fiber. It's important to notice that even if someone like trains extremely on long distance run like marathon, they keep training it for over years and years, they still have some of the fast twitch. That is inevitable. Like you cannot just have completely all red muscle fiber or all white muscle fiber. And we have the middle distance runner who have a mix of 50-50 or have both slow twitch and fast twitch at a pretty fair distribution. Here's a table containing some of the properties of muscle fiber. We have the type 1, the slow twitch, remember that's the red muscle fiber, and we have the fast twitch, the white muscle fibers. So for type 2, we actually have two types. We have the type 2A and we have type 2X. Type 2A is really just like a mix of both type 1 and type 2X. So for contraction speed, type 1 often have slower contraction speed comparing to the type 2. Fatigue rate is it goes from slow in between to fast. Fiber size it goes also from small, medium, large. And although super explosive type 2X actually have large muscle fiber compared to 2A, we're actually going to talk about that more in detail. Just know that even though that is the case, it's just that not all bodybuilders have a lot of type 2X. They actually have a lot more on the type 2A. We're gonna talk a lot more in the future, but right now just a funny thing to notice. Sorry, moving on. Aerobic and anaerobic. So aerobic capacity basically just means are you using oxygen or not. For endurance for type 1, it really does. And then when it, goes down the line, it doesn't. Anaerobic is not using oxygen at all. Muscle plasticity. So our body adapts to meet performance needs, and that is pretty simple to understand. And when we talk specifically about muscle fiber type, the conversion between type 1 and type 2 is actually minimum. Although it does happen when we like train extremely, it just doesn't lean to one side that much. Most of the changes actually happen inside type 2, between type 2A to type 2X or 2X to 2A. And we need to notice that this type of conversion occurs over a long period of time. It doesn't just happen overnight or over a week. It often means months of training in that specific direction for it to change. So here's a research that supports the idea that specificity actually matters. In this research, they're trying to improve their athletes' ability to jump higher. And on the left side, they're training with heavy resistant training, such as like squatting really heavy weight, while on the right side, it's more of the using lighter weights, but specifically focusing on plyometric. After 24 weeks, the results are on the graph comparing to before. And as we can see, when we train specifically for strength, when we train for heavy resistance, heavy weight, heavy load, it doesn't really change that much for our explosiveness or power compared to the right side where we see a drastic change in our height. Assistant work must be relevant to the ultimate goal. So we need to avoid wasting training volume on low impact or unrelated exercises, and we also need to avoid overvaluing certain training technique which could hinder the progress. Some of the example can include overusing time or attention on strength block, unneeded volume on ladder raises, or excess exercise choices. All right, next video, we're going to talk about the elements of strength. Specifically, we're going to talk about some of the factors that affect strength and how we can actually use it to our advantage.